Hello, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. Please let me know that you can see me and hear me in the chat box. That would be great. So welcome back for those of you who have been in our past workshops and are joining again. And a big welcome if this is your first time joining. So my name is Mimi. I'm the account and training manager here at Focal. Okay, cool. Looks like you guys can hear me, so that's great. So today's workshop is going to be on the site visit process. Obviously, if you have any other questions kind of from ongoing workshops, you can feel free to ask those as well. The only thing that I will ask is that that you please refrain from asking any recruitment questions. Unfortunately, I'm not in recruitment, so I won't be able to answer for you. But if you do have recruitment questions, please email recruitment@focalagent.com. Cool. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, before I continue, I just want to mention the YouTube channel. I've posted in the links there, so that's the YouTube page. We are updating it regularly, so if you miss a session, we'll be posting it there. So please keep that saved. And I've also sent a home staging guide link. Now, I'll explain more on this sort of in my presentation, but I just wanted you guys to look at it and just be aware of what the vendors receive and what the agents receive. So all vendors and agents will receive that home staging guide. You're welcome to save that link as well and send it out if you'd like to do that. So yeah, okay, cool. So I'm going to share this presentation with you now. So again, as always, I'm going to do a quick presentation and then we're going to follow it up with a Q&A. So again, today we'll be discussing the site visit process, sort of the ins and outs of what you do when you are on a job. So lots of info to go through, but basically upon arrival, you want to go over with them what you are doing. So always confirm verbally first what you're there to do. So most jobs that come through have photos, floor plan, and 360 tour. So if you just say that, obviously if it's just photos, you say that. If it's photos and floor plans, you say that. Always just, upon your arrival, upon your greeting, just confirm with them what you're actually there to do. Second thing is, if they are working from home, it's always good to find out where they're working so that you can kind of work around that or adjust sort of your flow in the property accordingly. I don't know, they've obviously should have scheduled you out, but sometimes some things happen, they have phone calls, meetings, whatever. So just make sure you're aware of where they're working, and if there is anything you can do to accommodate that, it's always appreciated for them, I'm sure. So so general rule is to always start with the floor plan. The reason for this is a couple reasons really. It gets you a chance to walk around the house, get a really good feel of it, get to know the property well, and then also it gives you a chance. It gives them, if there's any last minute things, if I don't know, they wanted to hoover the carpet downstairs while you're doing the floor plan, it does give them, they should be completely 100% ready upon your arrival, but it does give them a little bit of a chance to sort of finish some things as well. And then the next thing is in regards to home staging and the home staging guide that I sent you. So we categorically do not expect you to touch anything or to move anything, or even, we consider kind of even asking the vendor to do things as part of home staging. So they should be 100% ready. However, it is in your benefit to kindly remind them if you see things. We're all human beings, so sometimes it's easy to forget. So things like opening curtains and blinds, putting down toilet seats, taking bins away. So outside of the property, if there's bins, they need to be taken away from it's not you who does that, it's the vendor. So if they haven't done that yet, it's always best to remind them to do so. And then the other main thing that people always forget, the vendors always forget, are things that are hanging behind the doors. So as you know from previous workshops, all internal photos should have closed doors. So when that's the case, people will always forget dressing gowns and that sort of thing hanging behind the door. So yeah, it's always good when you're walking around the property doing the floor plan to remind them of those things. So yeah, 4 main things really. There's you know, a few other things that you'll get used to over time, but yeah, curtains and blinds open, toilet seats down, bins from the outside taken away, and things off behind the doors. So if you are doing, next thing, if you are doing a 360 tour, just explain to them that they will need to stay away from the camera. Obviously it's a 360 image, so if you just explain this to them and just explain that if they are anywhere near, they will be in the image, so they need to be away for that. And then, so where to start? After you've done the floor plan, we always say to start from outside of the property, so the main image being obviously the front external, and then always keep your final 15 in mind. So most of the jobs that come through, there's a few that are not standard, but the standard pack is 20 photos with a 15 selection. Sometimes you will be choosing the final 15, and sometimes it will go to the agent to choose. But either way, it's a final 15. So yeah, you just always need to have that final 15 in your mind, just so that you know how many angles and whatnot to take of each property. And if you walk into the property with a final 15 in mind, that will really help you with your whole process. So yeah, as you're aware, we require 2 to 3 photos of each room from different angles. So just as a generic rule, what that means is a photo from each angle of the room. Most rooms you will not be able to get 4 photos, so 2 to 3 is fine. So yeah. Next thing is a little bit of a trick, actually, to be honest. So we recommend doing the photos and virtual tools simultaneously if you can. For those of you who are familiar with the virtual tour, it will take a few minutes to render each photo. So what happens is you will you'll take the photo. It takes about 20 to 30 seconds to actually take, and then it takes a couple of minutes to actually render, which means you can do whatever you want because it's already taken the image, so you can walk around, you can do whatever you want. In that time, within that 2 to 3 minutes, you could easily be photographing the next room. So we actually recommend, if you do have 2 tripods, to do it simultaneously, because it will save you a lot of time in the long run. So you could do the virtual tour first. So each image, obviously you're walking around the property, and that means that you're not going to have to walk around the property twice. So a lot of our photographers will have 2 tripods, and one will be attached to the 360 camera, and then one will be attached to their main camera, and they'll kind of walk around the property, and they only ever need to do that well, twice, I suppose, because one's for the floor plan and then one's for the photos. So yeah, once you're in a room, just to sort of elaborate on that a little bit, once you're in a room, you can be the virtual tour camera can be in the next room taking the image, so that by the time you get to it, it's ready. So yeah. Okay, so then once you're finished, you've done the floor plans, you've done the photos, and you've done the 360, you just need to explain to them how long it will take. So we aim to have it within 24 hours, but we say up to 48 hours. So if they ask you how long it will take, it's up to 48 hours, but it's always good to sort of remind them when you're leaving how long they can expect their images. From you, you just need to explain that the photos will go straight to the agent, and the agent is the one who will be in touch. So sometimes they won't, obviously if you don't tell them, they won't know who to contact. You've been the one contacting them and taking the photos, so they might think that they need to contact you in regards to the photos, but just tell them that the agent will be in touch when it's ready and the listing is live. If it is an agent selection, then just please explain that the photos will go straight to the agent, and then the agent will be the one who selects them, not you. So yeah, if they need to speak to the agent about that, then they can obviously do that. So that's it really. The one final point, and this is sort of an exception, is in regards to bad weather. If it is bad weather, you might want to be doing the photos first, because if it stops raining or something, and a bit of sun comes in, then you can potentially redo the external. So yeah, that's up to you though, if you feel, but yeah, definitely an idea if it's a particularly bad day to potentially do the photos first. Okay, just a quick recap on this. Verbally explain what you're doing upon your arrival, so always explain why you're there and what you'll be doing there. Start with the floor plan. Kindly ask to move things if they're required, if they have their car on the driveway, bins, toilet seat down, etc. Start from outside. In terms of photos, you want to start from outside of the property, and then if you're able to do the photos and 360 tours simultaneously, that will end up saving you a lot of time. Always keep your final 15 in mind, so even when you're going around the property, you're never going to need 8 photos of a bathroom, so just always keep your final 15 in mind and what sort of selection you're looking for, and just remember, 2 to 3 images per room. And then once you're done your photos, floor plan, 360 tour, and you're leaving, verbally explain to them how long it will take and who will be in contact. So again, that's up to 48 hours and it will be their agent. And then if it's particularly bad weather, you may want to do the photos first, but that's up to you. Okay, cool. So just gonna open it up to questions now. Okay, where can I find the home staging link? So I've sent it to you. It's in the published comments, so you should be able to see it. Oh, really good question. Photo tripod at 4 feet. What height is 360? So generally we say about 5 feet for the 360 tour. How many properties can you do in a day? So it's completely up to you, and obviously that will depend on your location, any travel time, traffic, etc. So from the rest of our panel, just to give you an idea, they say it takes about an hour per property on average. Are the photos loaded up on the agent's site in the order they are taken? No, they're loaded on the agent's site in the order that you upload them. If when entering a client's house we find there are rooms that are extremely cluttered, how do we photograph the rooms? Really good question. So clutter, furniture, some other bulky things in the way are always going to be a struggle. So what we always say is we still need 2 to 3 angles of each room. So if you think the maximum you can get out of a really cluttered room is 2, that's fine. But I probably wouldn't use, again, thinking of that final 15 in mind, I would probably choose only one out of those cluttered rooms and then upload a second one, so that the agent can see it was really cluttered. It's really important to know, we get a lot of sort of escalations come through from the agents that photographers haven't taken enough photos of a room, and then when we call the photographers to sort of just get an idea and understand why and what's happened, most of the time they will say it was too cluttered, I avoided this angle, etc. What we say at Focal is please just take the photo anyway and upload it. It doesn't need to be the final selection, but it's evidence. I mean, you literally have the evidence in your hand of why you didn't select that other angle. So if it's cluttered, unfortunately, that's not your fault, but you just need to do the best you can. Obviously, composition, being creative with your composition is of the utmost importance in those situations. But yeah, if you know, again, we still need 2 to 3 angles of each room. So take the image anyway, and it doesn't have to be your final selection. Really good question here. Is there a time limit on how long you have in the property? No, really good question. We do not have a time limit. However, we say to try and stick to as close to an hour as you can. Yeah, just for the sake of, first of all, yourself. Obviously, we don't want you to be spending too much time, and then also for the sake of the convenience of the vendor, we don't want to be spending hours and hours there. You say 3 pictures per room, but what about a small bathroom? So yeah, so if it's a super small bathroom, try and get 2 to 3, we say. So just try and get 2. So yeah. Oh, really good question here, Eddie. Do you usually upload at the end of the day or after each property? So you can do either or. From our perspective, it needs to be done on the same day. And ideally, we want it to be uploaded as quickly as possible. So if you want to allocate, 15 minutes or so after each job to do that, that's fine. You can do that. Or if you want to save them and upload at the end of the day, yeah. So totally up to you. But minimally, we need it by the end of the day. So yeah. Ideally, it would be great to upload after each one because it means that the agents would get it a lot quicker. So yeah. Okay, if you have 2 tripods, it's best to do it simultaneously. Take the image on the virtual tour. It takes 30 seconds to hear the beep, then 2 to 3 minutes to load. Would you explain it as to someone who has never done it before? Yeah, so if you've never done the 360 tour before, what happens is you take the image. It takes about 30 seconds to actually take the image. Once it's done, there's a really loud beep that comes from the camera. So once the photo is actually taken, you know that the photo is taken. And then it takes 2 to 3 minutes to render. So you can do anything you like in those 2 to 3 minutes with the camera. So yeah, hopefully that explained it. Should we indicate the identity of the room via the file name and tie it into the floor plan? No, so we don't look at file names, so don't worry about file names. We don't look at that. Final floor plan for client, is it from the agent or us? I don't quite know what you mean by that, if you want to expand on that, but when you draw the floor plan, so you'll be drawing the floor plan on pencil and graph paper, and then when you upload it to the portal, it then goes to our internal team, our production team, and they draw it up on CAD, and that is the final one that goes to the agent. If there are large mirrors or windows where we are reflected and cannot get out of shot, do we shoot and hope that the other angles are okay? No, so you never want to be in the shot. For 360, obviously you won't be in the shot, it'll be the camera. So mirrors and windows and everything, don't worry about that for 360. So yeah, for when you're taking the photos, you just have to be really creative compositionally. There's always going to be a way for you to hide yourself. So yeah. Second question, you wouldn't ever need photos of a bathroom. Would you explain further? Sorry, I thought I don't know if I said this properly, but what I said was, or what I meant to say was, you wouldn't ever need 8 photos of a bathroom. So when you're taking the photos, just always keep your final selection in mind. So what that means is you don't need 8 photos of a bathroom. You'll probably need just 2. So yeah, especially if it's a small bathroom. If all our images are being edited by Focal, why do we have to make a final selection? So the final selection is usually 15. Again, there are different packages that vary, but generally speaking, it's 20 photos that you need to upload with 15 being selected. So the jobs where you have to do the final selection, the reason for that is because when you make the final selection, it goes straight to our editing team and then straight to the agents. So generally speaking, it really speeds everything up really well. The other benefit is the agents will never see your unedited images. So some people really like that. So yeah, they'll never see your unedited images in those ones. They'll just see the final 15 once they've been enhanced by our enhancement team. Yeah, so the ones that don't have the ones that have agent selection where you don't select will just generally take a lot longer for the agent. So it will go to them. They then need to select their final 15. Then it will go to the enhancement team. Then it will go back to the agent. So when you're making the selection, what it's doing basically is saving a step, which yeah, we've calculated has saved huge amounts of time. Okay, if you notice simple things to move or adjust to improve the appearance of the room, can you advise the vendor to move things, i.e. things left on the work surfaces? Yes, please. Obviously, we don't expect you. This is not something that we ask or expect of you. But if they, again, we're all human beings, so if they have forgotten something, or if they're just, they've left a water bottle somewhere, it is, if you could just kindly ask them to remove it, that would be great. Again, they do receive the home staging guide that I've linked you guys to, so they should know this and do this anyways. But yeah, it would be really great for you to remind them. Okay, really good question here. If the property is a total mess, what do you do? What do you do if they ask you to Photoshop something out? Example, bins or a car. So if the property is a total mess, then what we would suggest is call your agent right away and explain the situation. And then you basically need to ask them, do you want me to go ahead with this job, or do you want to put in a cancellation? In which case you would fill out a cancellation form and get the fee for that. So yeah, the first thing to do would be to call your agent. Now, if you can't get a hold of them for any reason, then you need to go ahead with the photo shoot. And if it's a mess, that's really not your concern. Your concern is to go there and take photos. So yeah, the vendor obviously didn't get the memo, or for whatever reason something happened, but they should be 100% ready before your arrival. But it's super, super important to communicate this with the agent. So even if you couldn't get a hold of the agent at first, perhaps once you're done taking the photos, please call them and explain, and just say, I'm happy to do a reshoot, which by the way you'll get paid for. I'm happy to do a reshoot if you want. Just send in the job again and basically speak to the vendors to make sure that they're ready. Because yeah, it's the agent's job to ensure that the vendors are ready for the photos. And then in terms of the second half of the question for Photoshop, you just need to tell them that you won't do any Photoshop. You shouldn't be doing any Photoshop at all. So yeah, just explain that you don't do Photoshop. Oh, really good question, John. So if there's a particularly good feature of the property, do you want the detail of that, or is it just wide angles of the rooms? So generally speaking, we do not do any lifestyle photos at all. So generally just the wide angles of the rooms. However, if there is a really, really old, beautiful antique fireplace, or something really, really unique that is a selling feature of the property, then you are welcome to photograph that. But generally speaking, we do not do any lifestyle photos. Hi Mimi, is the final selection done after upload or by selecting which images to upload? I.e., do we upload 25 and select 15, or select 15 to upload? Really good question, Neil. So yeah, so basically the way it works is you'll be requested to upload 20 images, and then out of those 20 images you select the 15. So you select the 15 after you've uploaded. Having said that though, it makes it much easier if you've selected your 15 personally in, so you know which ones to select, and then upload those first, so that it's just the first 15 photos to select. But yeah, to answer that question really shortly, you need to upload the photos and then select the 15. Okay, how does a busy workday look like in terms of numbers of properties and the break time in between? So again, completely up to you. Obviously, we say it takes about an hour per property. You then need to look into travel times, etc. So yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a standard on that. But generally speaking, you'll be going from property to property. And then any breaks that you want, you just need to fit them in. The joys of being self-employed. Okay, how to take a picture when there are a lot of personal items in the room. So again, this goes down to it being messy or cluttered. I don't know what you mean by personal items. If it just means random clutter, then my answer would be the same as the clutter question, which is just be super creative with your composition. Okay, last question here. At the properties, will we just be dealing with agents or homeowners as well before they move out? So Nicola, it will be a mix of both. So a lot of them are homeowners before you move out, to be honest. I think I mean, don't quote me on that, but I think I would say that is the majority. So sometimes you'll just be dealing with agents picking up keys, and then sometimes it will be, homeowners while they're there. Okay, cool. So that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to share the schedule and everything with you. Yeah, next workshop, again, these are all at 10 o'clock. We only have 2 more for the rest of October. So Wednesday at 10 a.m. we will have Matterport 360. For those of you who haven't been asked to do Matterport, it's just to give you an idea of what it is. It is a service that we offer within the company. So yeah, just to, if you're curious as to what it is, it would be really good to join. But if your recruitment manager has not said anything about Matterport, please don't worry. It's only a it's only a requirement for very select agents. So yeah, but if you're curious about it, it may be something that, we're looking into the future for. So yeah, please do join us for that. And then Friday, the 30th of October, day before Halloween. I didn't realize the month was going by so quickly. Yeah, so customer service. So we'll deal with things like what to say to the agent, etc. Cool, guys. Thank you so much. Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope to see you on Wednesday.